10. The schemes of the Galactic Federation. In this chapter, I will highlight the schemes of the Saturn Council ETs that are playing the role of the good cop that pretends to be protecting us from the bad cops, such as the Orion Greys and draconian reptoids. These 5 DETs are generally linked to the group that claims to call itself the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Overseeing the ETs of the Galactic Federation of Worlds is another group of more advanced 6D and above ETs that call themselves Seeders. 10.1 First Official Contact. Based on everything I've observed, I find it difficult to genuinely believe that the Galactic Federation wishes to liberate the public. Rather, it seems they are fighting against the other 2 empires over who gets control over this world and its inhabitants. At the same time, it seems that they have mostly agreed to play out a good cop, bad cop game with the cooperation of the Orion Greys and the Draconians. Very likely the ETs that make up the Galactic Federation are major players in the Saturn Council who want to retain some level of control of their human experiment on Earth. The Taygete and Pleiadians have stated that about half of the world's population has their DNA, and this might have given them a form of veto power over Earth's administration. The reason that they may be allowing the Draconians to interfere in our affairs might be because they helped the Taygetans and the other Atlantean ET races win the war against the Lemurians long ago. The Galactic Federation projects itself as an ideal alliance that stands for peace, justice, and non-intervention, which I find hard to believe. This group came to the limelight in the last few decades, and this indicates that they were a fabrication made up by certain groups within the Saturn Council that had issues with other groups that had teamed up on the side of the Orion and Draconian Empire. Initially, the Andromedan Council was opposed to the Pleiadians, but in recent years, they have merged forces with them against their common enemies. It is also possible that someone is pretending to be them to Alex Collier and changing his understanding of things. This is why today Alex Collier and Elena Danaan have formed an alliance. The former acts as the emissary of the Andromedan Council, while the latter acts as the emissary of the Galactic Federation. Initially, the ETs of the Galactic Federation simply stated that they were Venusians, Taygetans, and other ET groups such as the Emerther from Tau Ceti, Omit from Wolf 424, and Solosians and Metonians from Alpha Centauri b, according to Gerald Light's letter to Meade Lane in the 1954 meeting with Eisenhower at Edwards Air Force Base. The Nordic ETs simply presented themselves as the Etherians without really divulging their origins. During the meeting, they demonstrated their ability to bilocate, vanish, and appear out of thin air, and even allowed the U.S. military to study 5 of their UFOs. Many of the brightest scientists in the USA were present at the meeting, and they found it difficult to accept what they were seeing, as most of their known closed-minded theories on the workings of our reality had been threatened. The ETs asked the U.S. to get rid of our nukes, and in turn they would provide us with wisdom and technology. However, believing that nukes were the one thing that the ETs feared despite their immense technological advantage, President Eisenhower was not eager to agree with their terms. The truth was that even if they agreed or not, the ETs would still ensure that the use of nuclear weapons would be regulated as it threatened their genetic experiment on Earth. This is why, even though the U.S. refused to destroy their nuclear weapons, the ETs shut down nuclear warheads in several bases such as Malmstrom and Rendlesham. The ETs claimed that nuclear weapons caused damage in adjacent dimensions even back on their worlds, and thus they had the right to interfere in this regard. According to Elena Danaan, during the 1954 meeting with the Galactic Federation, They warned the U.S. not to trust the Orion Greys, who later met Eisenhower at Holloman Air Force Base in 1955 and signed a technology exchange deal through the MJ-12. According to William Tompkins, Eisenhower was told by the Nordics that they had taken over the planet and were requesting permission to tell the common masses about them. They promised to help uplift the people of Earth. Ever since the contacts of the 1950s, there has been talk about a sort of federation that these human-looking ETs were part of. It was usually referred to as the Federation, Confederation of Planets, or the Association of Worlds. If you analyze the ET contacts before the 21st century, there is very little mention of the term Galactic Federation. In fact, in Alex Collier's 1996 book, Defending Sacred Ground, there is no mention of this ET alliance that now dominates the UFO community. Even secret space program personnel of high rank such as Corey Goode and Penny Bradley never heard of the term while serving in the Solar Warden and Dark Fleet respectively. The first mentions of an alternate name they used, known as Galactic Federation of Light, were in 1997 and were part of a scam where people were encouraged to pay the scam artists money, in return for which, allegedly through Nisara, they were going to get a lot of money in return. This indicates that the good cop human-like ETs have recently taken up the term. Perhaps they believe that as the Galactic Federation was the positive authority displayed in Star Trek, they stood a greater chance of winning our trust if they used that title. 10.2. A diplomat named Val Thor. The 1954 meeting with the Etherians paved way for another meeting with an ET diplomat a few years later. On March 16, 1957, a strange craft landed in a farmer's field in Alexandria, Virginia. Local police arrived on the scene with guns drawn and were surprised to find an unarmed man named Val Thor stepping out of the craft. He was immediately transported to the Pentagon to meet with the Undersecretary of Defense and then shuttled underground to meet with President Eisenhower and Vice President Richard Nixon. The meeting lasted for nearly an hour, and then the alien visitor was put on very important person status and was shuttled back to the Pentagon, where he spent the night in the Army reception office on the first floor near the concourse. This alien's name was Valiant Thor. He was given a fully furnished apartment deep within the Pentagon in which he lived for 3 years. Val Thor was soon accompanied by Denethor, one of the Tegaton scientific advisors, and his team. These aliens were humanoid in appearance, with the single discrepancy of having 6 fingers on each hand. This group was sent to multiple U.S. research labs and partially provided the training and technologies needed for the U.S. secret space programs to develop the way they did. The U.S. Navy was chosen to work with the Galactic Federation to start the development of the U.S. secret space program, as they were the best suited for long-term missions in space due to their prior experience with ships and submarines. Since submarines were already airtight, some of the first spaceships that were developed by the U.S. Navy involved installing spaceship engines to submarines so that they could produce toroidal fields around the entire hull that would have anti-gravity properties. A picture of Denethor sitting with U.S. Navy personnel and another picture of Val Thor with his wife Jillian and brother Don at a press conference in High Bridge in 1959 is available online. For some reason, Val Thor would also pop up in backyard UFO meets and talk about his mission on Earth to small communities. Similar to many of the other Pleiadian propaganda campaigns, his aim seems to be the creation of a small community of believers whose narrative can be raised to public attention post-disclosure, while simultaneously ensuring that the bulk of humanity remains clueless of their existence until the solar flash event is moments away. According to the nephew of Rear Admiral Richard R.F. Byrd, Val Thor spoke of Christ's presence in the universe and that it was heartwarming to see Christ's advanced teaching continuing in those times. Dr. Frank Strange is one of the men of that period who was in contact with Val Thor during his time in the Pentagon. He was a Christian minister whom Val Thor had summoned to meet him. Frank also describes Val Thor as a religious figure who supported Jesus Christ's teachings. Yet Val Thor told Elena Denan in recent years that Frank had used him to promote their faith, and he never spoke about Christ at all. Could it be that Val Thor did promote Jesus in order to get the U.S. officials to trust him, and now that the situation has changed, he is changing his statements to appear more rational to a less religious audience? Frank has reported Val Thor to perform miraculous feats, such as materializing in his car's back seat in 1961, which is a common ability amongst most 5DE races. He and other eyewitnesses have also reported Val's ability to disappear, walk through walls, and speak all languages on Earth in any dialect. The latter was probably with the help of language translation implants. Frank recounts Val Thor's voice appearing on television sets and even radios that were turned off. He even had a random telephone booth ring as he walked past it, and when he took up the phone, it was Val Thor on the other end. This is probably achieved by utilizing their tractor beams to control the current flow through the coils on the speakers of these devices to replicate the frequencies of his voice. In Frank's first encounter with Val, he was also shown a smart suit that was thin and couldn't be cut easily. This suit was later presented to Pentagon researchers who did a lot of tests to evaluate its properties. When Frank asked Val Thor why he wouldn't make a more open public appearance to the world, he said that he was working on manifesting a certain timeline for the people of this world, and it was not yet time for them to be in the know of their existence. He claimed that he wanted to bring mankind closer to God and help solve the apparently insurmountable problems of this world. Val and his group of alien assistants claimed to come from the nearby planet of Venus, but their origins are probably from the Pleiades. Venus seems to be a temporary observatory post that is used by multiple races handling Project Mankind. He said that he was sent on behalf of the Galactic Council to convince humanity to shy away from their use of nuclear weapons, as they had tried to do several years ago at Edwards Air Force Base. The truth is, at that time, nuclear weapons were the only technology that the ETs viewed as highly risky to their plans. Even death cannot touch them most of the time, as they have age regression technologies and clone bodies, in case their primary one is damaged. However, nukes scare them as the energy release permeates multiple dimensions and can damage their souls. Thus, ET operatives would feel more comfortable if those weapons were taken away. Besides, they do not want their genetic experiments to be damaged or their zoo world to be destroyed. Val convinced President Eisenhower to create a council against the use of nuclear weapons. However, the committee was repeatedly blocked by members of the CIA and the Department of Defense. It seems that the Tagatons soon had enough of trying to negotiate directly for this, and they started actively destroying and disarming nukes all across the country. The Zenitians and the Andromedan Council they represent will also not allow nuclear weapons to be used on Earth. They too claim non-intervention rules prevent them from interacting with Earth, and yet they conveniently interfere only when it comes to nuclear weapons. Their excuse is that they do not want to see us destroy ourselves. The Rendlesham Forest incident of 1980 that involved the RAF Woodbridge base is one major nuclear incident in which glowing red and orange spheres appeared in the sky and disabled nuclear armament using a type of laser beam. The Malmstrom Air Force Base incident of 1967 was another one. Former Air Force Captain Robert Salas, who was at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana in 1967, stated that a mysterious red glowing object in the sky disabled 10 of the nuclear-tipped intercontinental ballistic missiles. Another former officer, Dr. Robert Jacobs captured a flying saucer shooting a test missile out of the sky in 1964 while filming for the Air Force. Former USAF senior airman Mario Anthony Woods has seen a large UFO resembling an orange sun hover over the November 5 launch facility near Ellsworth Air Force Base. He was soon abducted by teal-skinned gray aliens who told him not to be afraid. The Warren Air Force Base also has 200 Minuteman missiles, and soldiers in the base have seen UFOs over the missile silos. Even in the Soviet Union, nuclear facilities were being targeted. One night on October 4, 1982, there was a breach of airspace over a nuclear weapons site in Usavoin, Ukraine. For 4 hours, the entire facility watched a hovering UFO as it loitered directly overhead. While it hovered, the control panels that could launch the nuclear weapons stored there suddenly came to life, something that could only have happened with the input of the proper launch codes. The incident sparked a 10-year investigation by the Soviets into the UFO phenomenon, which they kept under wraps until the end of the Cold War. This event closely mirrors a similar incident at a U.S. nuclear facility in Minot Air Force Base, when security personnel observed a UFO that hovered over the silos holding nuclear-tipped Minuteman missiles. According to witnesses, the missiles briefly became active and went into a launch state, despite having received no such authorization or command from their control centers. Robert Hastings, a longtime UFO researcher who collated the information, said at a press conference in Washington that this planet is being visited by beings from another world who for whatever reason have taken an interest in the nuclear arms race. He claimed to have gathered witness testimony from more than 120 military personnel showing infiltration of nuclear sites. The Russians also had their fair share of UFOs monitoring nuclear sites. William Tompkins also speaks about UFOs causing the failure of Douglas-manufactured Nike Zeus missiles that were being evaluated for their ability to intercept ICBMs during 1955. It appears that after the U.S. and Russia signed a nuclear agreement in September 1971, the deactivation of nuclear weapons by UFOs seems to have reduced. According to Wilhelm Reich, nuclear radiation converts etheric energy that makes up the vital body of plants and animals into a denser form which he called deadly orgone. When the vital body and soul are damaged by such radiation, it results in errors in DNA duplication, and thus cancer develops. This is why psychics have reported seeing black patches around areas of the body that have developed cancer. Some state that areas of the body that have poor energetic interconnection energy flow with the rest of the body are often the first place that cancer develops, as the genomic resonance of the DNA there is less influence by the other cells in the body. This makes them more susceptible to mutations during cell division. Very likely, Val Thor agreed to spend 3 years in the Pentagon to closely mind control and manipulate Pentagon officials who at that stage were still mostly ignorant of how easily ETs could manipulate their minds and actions without their knowledge. Those 3 years may have been crucial in determining the long-term development of the U.S., and thus Val Thor was probably on site to ensure the Pentagon officials made decisions the way they needed to. His other team members had infiltrated other sectors of the government and probably mind-controlled the humans there to push forward their agendas of getting us to develop a space fleet to join their space wars against the other empires. It seems Commander Val Thor and his crew have also been providing trustworthy individuals in the human population holographic conference devices, similar to the one provided to Elena Denon. The purpose of this communication technology was to provide those individuals with ideas and propaganda that they were slowly encouraged to release to the community in order to seed the foundations of the UFO community that will eventually vouch for the Galactic Federation. The cabal was probably told not to confiscate these pieces of ET technology so that the agendas of the Saturn Council could move forward. Through Frank Strange, Robert F. Kennedy was able to contact Val Thor, who told him that Lyndon Baines Johnson, who became president from 1963 to 1969, was the one who killed his brother, John F. Kennedy. Val Thor had warned Robert not to participate in the 1968 election, but as he did so anyway, he was assassinated by forces that saw him as a threat. According to Frank Strange, he was invited on board a spaceship to view the assassination of Robert from a screen. It appears that the ETs knew in advance that he would be assassinated using their ability to see into future timelines. 10.3 Building the UFO Community. When UFOs show up in our skies for all to see, and Nordic ETs interact with our governments, everyone will wake up to the truth of the existence of ETs and the paranormal. The leaders of the UFO community, who were largely unknown to the general public, would become mainstream icons who would teach the public their version of the truth. Thus, the ETs of the Saturn Council and agents of the Cabal have both played their roles in shaping the UFO community we see today through direct and indirect intervention for decades. The ETs and the Cabal have ensured that none in the UFO community would have evidence to back up their claims. This would keep the leaders of the UFO community separate from the media seen by the common masses, which would demand solid evidence to take the ET and UFO claims seriously. In this section, we will discuss how the UFO community was the product of a great psychological operation orchestrated by agents of the Cabal and the ETs themselves. Most of the leaders in the UFO community are not people who can discern through the lies and manipulation of the ETs. They are often those the ETs have chosen to propagate their propaganda and information through. In most cases, the ETs chose naive people who are talented at speaking, presenting, and writing about these topics, and have a passion for ufology in general. When they receive direct or telepathic contact from the ETs, they often assume that whatever is told to them is the absolute truth, as they often see these beings as above humanity and thus above deception and manipulation. Many of these people are et souls or star seeds who have incarnated on earth for the explicit purpose of spreading propaganda that favors the agendas of their respective races. Agreements are made pre-birth for the ETs to meet up with these people once they reach a certain age so that they can be provided messages to spread within the UFO community. Since most of the leaders of the UFO community are given a narrative that favors the Galactic Federation and Nordic ETs in general, the community has been programmed to trust the same ETs when they show themselves publicly. Even to this day, people also receive messages from the perceived negative ETs as well, such as the tall grays that encourage the UFO community to support the acceptance of gray human hybrids and their plan to eventually replace the human population of Earth. Dolores Cannon has received such propaganda through gray ETs that came through her hypnotic regression sessions. Even though many have fallen for their propaganda, most do not trust the grays, and that is why the Galactic Federation propaganda has largely become more accepted within the UFO community. Once the solar flash event hits, it will be harder for the public to search for the truth on their own at that stage, as the internet will be wiped out along with all of our digital content. People will not research this and figure out the deeper truth, as they will readily accept the narrative within the UFO community. If no UFO community that was pro-Federation was present to bias them, people may be less trusting of the good cop ETs when they arrive, as they will have a greater tendency to examine the situation for themselves. However, the development of the UFO community must be kept separate from the mass media. This way, The common masses will have a completely different perception of reality than those in the UFO community until the solar event is on the horizon. But how could the world governments create two extremely contrasting belief systems and have them not interfere with each other until the time is right? Using our conventional media, such as newspapers, radios, or television, was dangerous, as talking to the UFO community through such media would allow the broader public to know about the existence of ETs. Thus, the CIA was tasked with conceiving the Internet by the early 1980s, as it would allow algorithmic control of what information was accessible by each individual. It was also a means to remotely spy on people and amass tons of information for processing. The Internet could thus be used to shape public perceptions during the critical years before disclosure occurs. It was now possible to have a small population that was deeply involved with the UFO and ET topic, living amongst others who had never even imagined that there could be life elsewhere in this universe. The Internet is the only media that could allow the formation of these two separate groups. The plan was to continue leaving the overwhelming majority of people clueless about the ET topic, while steadily growing the alternate media filled with stories about great Nordic ETs and the bad reptilians or greys. This would set the stage for the good cop, bad cop game and the fake alien invasion that will support it. According to Four, Nordic races have been telepathically manipulating contactees, abductees, and other people with related experiences to meet up and form different movements and social groups within the UFO community that all have different narratives, but ultimately highlight the Federation as the saviors. It is very easy for them to control our minds without our knowing, using holographic computer systems and their innate psychic capabilities, and this has been used by the ETs to basically form our UFO community. Four's ET advisor also stated that the greatest threat the ETs have is someone developing an integrated theory that could connect everything in this field together to the point that people will be able to see beyond the shallow narratives provided through most sources. Through channelers and contactees, they have created many storylines that have a slightly different narrative than the others to generate confusion. Yet, most adhere to the theme that the Federation ETs are the good guys, while the reptilians and greys are the ones trying to control us. To ensure that we lose faith in human administration, the theme of a deep state or cabal is also pushed forward. Forrest Contact mentioned that in each storyline they purposefully create an element of falsifiability. This way, if the ETs wanted to abandon one storyline that was perpetuated via a channeler or contactee, they would just publicly release the bit of information that made people lose faith in that source. She referred to this as the system of lock and keys. For each storyline, the ETs have a separate backup plan that will ultimately take us to the same outcome. That is why, even if we don't trust the Galactic Federation and instead trust future humans, an Earth Alliance, or some other ET group, we will still lose. This is because the same ETs will be covertly behind all such forces. Why does the Galactic Federation not want to discuss how the UFO community was covertly manipulated in its formation with the help of ET technology and psychic capabilities? The answer is simple. They are afraid if we learned the truth, we would not trust any group that is presented as positive by anyone in the UFO community. This would make it harder for them to administer us in the future and replace us with gray human hybrids, as we would end up only trusting ourselves. The UFO community is today only between 200,000 and 500,000 people that are spread throughout the world, with only around 10,000 people having a serious interest in the field. The Galactic Federation monitors this level and ensures that those who speak positively about the Federation have spread to each regional community in preparation for the solar event. Many people are being programmed with memories that will only become known after the frequency shift has occurred. These may be experiences obtained during abductions in ET ships or through memory programming procedures. Others have hidden memories that are obtained through contact experiences or abductions. These memories will trigger more support for the Galactic Federation when the time comes. Many Nordic ET groups are also astral, projecting into the Earth's noosphere and winning the trust of huge swathes of human souls in anticipation of this event. When the solar event occurs, people will be able to break the genetic barrier that prevents them from remembering their real selves and making contact with their departed family and friends on the other side. These souls will also vouch for the ET alliances they believe in, which will further contribute to the pro-Federation and pro-Nordic bias. The UFO community has been largely led to worship the Galactic Federation and hate both the Greys and reptilians through information passed on by channelers and ET contactees. We hardly ever see anti-Federation messages, nor are voices favoring the Orion and Draconian forces found online. It is almost entirely one-sided. As the Draconians, Nibiruans, and Orion group are already known to have much control over our leaders, I believe that the Nordic ETs, playing the role of our saviors in the Galactic Federation, are probably working with them in a good cop, bad cop relationship. If this was not the case, the Cabal would never have allowed for the growth of a UFO community that is worshiping the Galactic Federation in the first place. By large, the UFO community is focused within the USA. Other countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and some European nations also have active UFO communities and organizations. All of these nations are directly linked to the Cabal's network. The UFO community in these regions is heavily infiltrated by the agents of the Cabal who guide their perceptions. The reason for this is so that the Cabal can continue to play a major role in guiding perceptions of the global population after disclosure takes place. U.S. military assets such as JP in Michael A. Salas Channel and Randy Kramer, and U.S. intelligence officers such as Richard Doty, Luis Elizondo, David Grush, and Christopher Mellon have been tasked by the Cabal to guide the public towards an eventual controlled disclosure that would take place before the solar event occurs. Many in the UFO community are already aware that certain speakers are agents of the government who have been tasked with controlling the narrative and winning over key figures in the community with false evidence or fabricated stories. For example, ufologist Bill Moore once admitted in public that he was receiving money from the government through disinformation agent Richard Doty to steer the UFO community towards where the government wanted it to go. But less are aware that many of the channelers might also be pushing forward the messages of entities linked with the Cabal. For example, according to 3 remote viewers of the Foresight Institute, the Bashar entity that is channeled by Daryl Anka for the spiritual community online is traced to a person within a mountain base who is not allowed to leave and is monitored by an ET lady regularly through a portal in a higher dimension. This indicates that the Cabal might be using psychics who can remotely pass their messages to channelers worldwide. According to Daryl Anka, Bashar is a gray human hybrid that specializes in making contact with multiple ET races. If this is indeed the case, perhaps Daryl Anka is being used to make the spiritual community more inclined to support the introduction of gray human hybrids in the near future when the disclosure of ETs has occurred and the spiritual community has become more mainstream. I have noticed that Bashar hides a lot of information from Daryl Anka and often focuses solely on spiritual topics. Bashar rarely makes predictions. However, he has told Daryl Anka that there would be a major event that would disclose the existence of ETs in 2026. In the past, Bashar predicted that there would be a major terrorist attack in the U.S. during 2001, and this did indeed manifest. The Farsight www.farsight.org has aided in figuring out the truth thanks to their team of remote viewers. However, even this group has been infiltrated since the 2020s by ETs. The director, Courtney Brown, is now able to see an extraterrestrial named Harvey in front of him that nobody else can see. This ET telepathically transfers information to Courtney, who then narrates it to the audience. Harvey claims to be a representative of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Other than building a brief story about good ETs battling the bad reptilian and gray ETs who are controlling humanity, Harvey provides very little useful information. I believe that prominent conspiracy theorist David Icke was guided to facilitate the good cop, bad cop game. Icke was told by psychic Betty Shine that many people were evaluated by ETs for the qualities needed to spread awareness, and that in the end he was chosen as he passed all the tests. He was told that he would go on to write many books and that he would reveal great secrets, both of which turned out to be true. He noticed that throughout his awakening, he would be led to material and that people would randomly come into his life at the right time and share their experiences with him. He also didn't receive major backlash for his anti-reptilian views until he spoke against COVID-19 in 2020. This indicates that he was hand-picked and guided by ETs within the Saturn Council post the 1990s to make the public think that the reptilians and greys were solely responsible for keeping us limited, while the Nordic human-like ETs were the ones trying to rescue us. If the Draconians and Greys were not bound by Saturn Council agreements with the Nordics, they could have easily programmed him to question the Nordic ETs, who he currently believes are trying to aid humanity. Or they could have easily assassinated him, just like they do with so many free energy inventors. Many of the major players in the UFO community, including myself, are often ET souls of the very races controlling Earth, sent here for ulterior purposes. Many have made agreements before incarnating here to carry out a role. Some, like Alex Collier, have been explicitly told that he had signed agreements with the Zenitian race to spread viewpoints of the Andromedan Council here. Corey Good, who is a blue avian starseed Nibiru, was used to serve in the Solar Warden, and the blue avians have contacted him personally to aid in negotiation with the military in the Cabal's Lunar Operation Command. These people usually have good intent for humanity, but because of past life agreements, they are often misled or even forced by ETs into serving agendas such as serving as ambassadors, being guinea pigs for experimentation, breeding programs, spreading propaganda favoring their groups, and even help train gray human hybrids. Two psychics, including for www.theoutpostforum.com, Forum Mind's Eye, what we think we know so far, have picked up Greys channeling people around the world and spreading pro-Federation propaganda. This suggests that the Federation's allies are using small gray clones to automate the task of communicating with human channelers. Realizing that people have become aware of this, in 2022, the Galactic Federation stated through Elena Denan that it was the Orion Group that was boosting the image of the Nordic ETs such as the Pleiadians through a Galactic Federation of Light campaign perpetrated using voice-to-head technology. I can't see how the Orion Group would benefit by using their gray minions to spread pro-Federation propaganda unless they were secretly working together in a good cop, bad cop relationship. In 2023, Corey Good also started receiving reports of Greys standing by people's bedsides and projecting illusions of meetings with Galactic Federation Nordic ETs onto their minds while they were asleep. Why would Greys make the Galactic Federation appear like heroes unless they were working together on the same good cop, bad cop game? I too have been targeted by Orion Greys who looked exactly like those on the cover of the book Communion in 2024. They tried telepathically, manipulating me to leave the earth willingly for 2 weeks straight. When this failed, they tried to manipulate me into believing the Taygetians and the Galactic Federation are the good guys. I could sense that these Greys wanted to claim Earth for their own, and that I was one of the few conspiracy theorists who remained unconvinced by the Galactic Federation. Thus, they wanted to deal with me indirectly without breaking the laws imposed by the Galactic Authority. According to Eve Lorgan, astral projecting reptilians are also contacting many channelers. They steer them and their clients away from focusing on alien abductions and ask them to just focus on positive thoughts, love, and light. This prevents them from becoming too knowledgeable and thus a threat to the ETs. The fact that these reptilians are not using their channelers to spread anti-Federation or anti-Nordic propaganda is further proof that both forces may indeed be colluding on one level against humanity. These days, we also see the Galactic Federation give out minimal useful information through Elena Denan, while at the same time making their followers enamored with so much messages of positive thoughts, love, and light. They too are playing the same game with us. Often, to make people more attracted to the Federation, in the channeled pro-Federation messages, Sananda, Mary Magdalene, Saint Germain, El Moria, Nikola Tesla, Kuthumi, and other positive human figures are linked to them. As the Galactic Federation works with the Ashtar Command headquartered in Jupiter, they have been programming the UFO community to fall in love with the handsome Commander Ashtar, who is leading a diverse battalion of ETs from all over the galaxy. It is common for very beautiful and sexually attractive Nordic humanoids from Pleiades and Andromeda to be displayed in Galactic Federation videos, as this also increases the chance that we will support them. Most of the pro-Federation information out there does not improve discernment. Instead, it is filled with statements that have a good feel to them, but are repetitive and largely useless in improving our understanding of reality or ourselves. Most of the time, they just ask us to stay positive and raise our frequency instead of encouraging us to take direct action. If the Federation really cared for us, they would have provided their contacts with something more worthy, like details on their technological and psychic capabilities. They don't even tell us the truth about what happened on Mars, Maldek, Lemuria, and Atlantis. Most of what we know about the secret space programs comes from insiders who accidentally retrieve their memories and not the Galactic Federation. Instead of giving us a false sense of peace, they should be the ones giving us all this information so we can discern the truth for ourselves. This tells me they are afraid we would see through their games if we are provided too much information. Before the mid-1990s, not many people were aware that the Greys and reptilians were involved in controlling humanity, and I noticed that the so-called positive ETs would not tell us much regarding this or the secret space programs. Alex Collier's Zenitians were an exception. Only when the UFO community figured this out by themselves did the so-called positive ETs update their narrative regarding this. This is another reason I don't trust most of the so-called positive ETs. They do not really try to inform us about the nature of our situation beyond what is already known. Val Thor, who is now linked to the Galactic Federation ETs, has met Pentagon officials in 1957, and a few years later, Taygetians and Andromedans started working with the U.S. government in secret. But these ETs didn't even inform their U.S. contacts that the Draconians were allied with the Orion Greys they made deals with in 1954. This is why the U.S. government actually made deals with the Draconians post the 1970s when they got fed up of the Greys. They expected the Draconians to not be on their side and that they would help them overcome the Greys. This shows that the Nordics were covertly working for the interest of the Draconians and the Orion Group. Many of the ET groups contacting humans, like the Galactic Federation group contacting Elena Denan, which steers the direction of a large sector of the UFO community, keeps their narrative close to what the community thinks is the truth, even if it isn't, to ensure most people believe it. Then they slowly make changes and direct the community towards the perceptions that they want to establish. Very little new information that can help us discern is provided, as this can make the UFO community capable of seeing through this type of manipulation. If they truly wanted to facilitate the spread of knowledge within the UFO community, they could have provided the story of human history in full detail as a written document. As of now, what they present is mostly incomplete and disorganized. Even though this could have easily been done, it isn't permitted, as having all the facts arranged in an organized manner could make the UFO community spread too rapidly and gain too much traction at an early stage. We would also be able to see through the good cop, bad cop deception. The ETs work with the world governments in limiting the size of the UFO community to a level that is more manageable while still being capable of playing their role in the future. No matter how much the ufologists try, internet algorithms will be used against them and limit how much their movement can spread. The Federation also does not inform the population of the existence and usage of key technologies to control the human population. For example, most UFOs have hypobeams that can attune to the minds of humans and redirect their thought processes toward a pattern favorable to the agenda of the ETs. In short, they have been remote controlling people without their knowledge and making them make decisions the ETs want. They can also holographically program the noosphere around Earth by artificially creating thought forms that assist the ETs in monitoring and controlling the flow of events for them. Many large crystalline computers maintained by the Arcturians can even link to the human collective field, analyze it, and reprogram it to influence our subconscious. Extensive research has also been done on developing mental algorithms to predict the reactions of humans in scenarios in which the ETs can't fully predict the future. If the Federation revealed the existence of these technologies through their emissaries like Elena Danaan, it has a chance of jeopardizing many of the ET programs on Earth. This is because it is easier to manipulate us in the future when they show themselves, especially if we are not aware that we can be manipulated like this without our knowing. To further add to the confusion, the different ET groups tell us different versions of the same event to suit their needs, and this prevents us from seeing the big picture. This was essential to ensure that nobody would put all the pieces together in time. However, since all the narratives have the same set of good ETs and the same set of bad ETs, we will always assume that this must be true given the fact that all sources have this theme of good Galactic Federation ETs in common. They also do not direct us to sources on the internet to fill in the rest of the facts in their broken narratives. You will never hear of cases in which someone who was contacted by an ET group was guided toward a book like this one to help with their understanding of related topics. If you analyze the cases of contact with ETs, most of them are with military forces or diplomats who have been carefully taught what to and what not to tell the humans they meet. Civilians from ET races are usually not allowed to converse with humans. Their primary focus is more on shaming their enemies and setting the overall picture in favor of a certain group of ETs. One thing the major ET contact programs do to ensure the loyalty of their contacts is to tell them that they were one of them in their past lives and will return with them after death. In some cases, they are encouraged to form friendships or to have romantic feelings for the ETs. Both the Alcyon Tegetan group and the Galactic Federation Tegetans deploy this tactic. Even the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier was told he was one of them in the past on a soul level to ensure he remained loyal to them. When I hear only the Federation's voice dominating the alternate media, and their supposed enemies who have been keeping humans in a box for so long, not even getting their voices heard. It is obvious to me that the draconians and the cabal underneath them are not the sole power influencing events on Earth. The ETs of the Galactic Federation are definitely collaborating with them on some level. Due to common Saturn Council agreements, the Galactic Federation ETs are only allowed to complain about the Orion Group and the Draconians to help establish the good cop and bad cop roles. By agreements, they are not allowed to provide humans with any information that will protect them from being abducted by the very forces they complain about. Nor are they allowed to reveal the exact locations of bases in which these groups are residing. If the Galactic Federation wanted to really prevent gray abductions, they would teach the UFO community how to prevent the grays from interfering with frequencies in the brain using conductive material placed around the skull. Certain minerals and metals may also interfere with the tractor beam, and thus lining one's walls with it may make it more difficult to transport the abductee in and out. For example, in the case of Dolly Safran, one of the Greys asked 4 times why her mother stuck tinfoil over the windows. The ET was clearly alarmed at this development, and it may hint at a possible means to make abductions more difficult. Billy Meyer, the 1975 Pleiadian contactee from Switzerland, was also told by Semjasa, a woman from Era Taygeta, that they even memory wipe people that they deem to be more knowledgeable about their activities regularly, and also destroy photographs that seem convincing. If anyone got their hands on proof, teams aligning with the Saturn Council translocate to the homes of the person and take that evidence away. In other cases, the cabal sends in human teams that do the same thing, as was the case for Dr. Jonathan Reed, who recovered an alien body from the woods. Proof such as access to an ET body or UFO could quickly force the mainstream media to pay attention to the UFO community before the solar flash event occurs, and this could jeopardize the entire operation. It is also common for ETs to come into homes and replace photographic evidence with less threatening alternatives that look similar to the original. When the human sees the replica, his mind is controlled to think that he is mistaken for thinking that the photograph looked different. Elena Denan and Jean-Charles Moyen have also reported that the Federation personnel memory wiped them when needed. The same reason is why the ETs don't point anyone to free energy patents that give objects that are obviously ET in origin to the contactees, allow themselves to be videotaped or photographed, cloak their ships in Earth's atmosphere, give accurate predictions, or connect contactees to others that can greatly expand their limited understanding of things. All the above compromises this plan run by the Federation to keep a controlled UFO community going. Any one of the above risks a chance that the common masses will take UFOs seriously before it is time. This is why when Billy Meyer begged his Taygeta-era contact Semjase to allow him to gather more photographic proof or bring another person over to meet them, he was denied multiple times over for reasons the Taygetans would simply not disclose. Sometimes they would also remotely burn photographs he took that were too credible. The Galactic Federation tells Elena Denan that the reason absolute evidence can't be given to humanity is because the cabal will spin it around and tell people that the Galactic Federation is a threat. They have made that excuse for so many decades now. It is easy to understand why the Orion and Draconians hide from the public, but now you know why the humanoid ETs of the Federation do the same. It is to prevent humanity from waking up to the truth before it is too late. As of 2022, I am noticing that the UFO community is forming an alliance under 3 figures: Alex Collier, Elena Denan, and Michael Salla. These 3 back up the Galactic Federation and overlook all the anomalies I mentioned above. Corey Goode is a threat to the Galactic Federation's narrative, as he observed the Saturn Council and gave his audience the impression that most of the ET races here, including the friendly Nordic ones, have been ganging up on us and keeping us controlled. This is a great threat to the Federation's agenda of establishing a good cop, bad cop narrative. Corey Goode also ruins the image of the Solar Warden Program and the SSP Earth Alliance. The Federation has been claiming that both of those groups were allied with them and were trying to protect humanity against the Cabal. In December 2022, the community turned on Corey Goode and labeled him a counter-disclosure agent due to what he claimed in his deposition video. Corey Goode claimed he made up everything during the deposition. However, he later admitted he had to say this to secure his life story and seem credible in the eyes of the court. If he is out of the picture, the Galactic Federation will see less opposition to their plans. The only other group that still poses a threat to them is the Tegatans serving the Alcyon Council and their YouTube propaganda channels. However, both Alex Collier and Elena Danaan have warned the community about them, and thus it will be difficult for them to secure the trust of humanity after the solar flash event. Very likely, the Swaru Alcyon Tegatan channels out there are controlled opposition that is working with the Galactic Federation Nordics. This may be another good cop, bad cop game being played among the Tegatan races. As of 2024, the Galactic Federation has changed their tune, and they now claim the Alcyon group is cooperating with them. Even though Corey Goode is a threat to the pro-Federation narrative, I suspect that the Earth Alliance that Corey Goode is in communication with is compromised. They hardly give him any useful information other than a new tale of good guys and bad guys to fuel their agendas, and this tells me that they are probably members of the Cabal posing as an Earth Alliance. The chances of a genuine Earth Alliance that is working against the Cabal and the ETs of the Saturn Council existing is very slim, as the Cabal and the ETs would have put all their resources into annihilating them as soon as they started taking root. Corey Goode was the one who introduced the concept of an Earth Alliance to the UFO community. However, he only observed a few people rebel against the ICC like Sigmund. He was killed soon after. There has never been any real evidence of a powerful Earth Alliance that can stand up to the Cabal and the German breakaway. Corey Goode has also met future humans called the Anshar, and black human-like ETs called the Eosians, who say that they are the guardians of the galaxy. This is very likely a fake term they came up with to align with the Marvel movie with the same name. Both of them pretend to be against the Orion and Draconian empires. These groups have linked to Corey Goode and hijacked his original narrative, which has been steered towards trusting groups that we know so little about and expecting them to make their appearance after the solar flash event so that they can aid us. His Earth Alliance contacts have also told him that forces from the GGLN colonies will come to our aid after the solar event. Very likely these forces will be ICC-controlled spaceships that will pretend to be from colonies that have broken free from their grasp. The ETs follow the policy of corrupting and redirecting the narratives that are a threat to them towards their own goals in a situation in which direct suppression of the person behind them is not possible. I believe that the ETs are playing the game of trapping humanity from multiple angles or storylines. In the rare chance the pro-Federation propaganda doesn't fool the public and they prefer to trust humans in space, humans from the future, or the new guardians of the galaxy, the Saturn Council will probably promote Corey Goode at the time of the solar flash event without his knowledge, and humanity will be led back into the same trap by blindly putting their faith in groups whose real allegiances are still not observable from our end. It is ironic that most of the people within the UFO community do not realize that a good cop, bad cop game is being played by the major ET groups that are all involved in exploiting our world together under the Saturn Council. They are playing this game so that humanity remains controlled no matter what ET group they choose to trust. This is because most groups that have made contact with humanity are the bad ones posing as good guys. They have already played a good cop, bad cop game once before to deceive the U.S. government. The Draconians came into the picture in the 1970s to help fight the Greys, but the entire time they were working together. What we will see with the Galactic Federation Nordics will be the next level of the good cop, bad cop game. We must be aware of such deceptive games. We must choose carefully who to trust when the time comes, as many will be waiting to deceive them. Sometimes there will be no foreign group worth trusting. In such a situation, we must trust each other to get through this, critically analyze, and not be led blindly by our emotional responses, as Corey Goode himself has stated. As long as the UFO community doesn't grow beyond a threshold, the elites will protect the UFO community, and this is something those within the community don't realize. The community will be used to guide the perceptions of the common masses of Earth after disclosure, which will occur shortly before the solar flash event. The real good ETs have probably not been able to spread their messages in the UFO community, as they are blocked access to Earth by the Saturn Council and the cabal that is coordinating with them. 10.4. The non-intervention excuse. The Federation claims that it has a policy of non-intervention, and this is why they can't reveal themselves or help us directly. However, they have been caught violating this policy on multiple occasions. In this section, I will provide evidence to suggest that they have no such policy and that it is merely an excuse to justify why they couldn't help us until this very critical moment in our history. First of all, through their contactees such as Elena Danaan, they are helping spread propaganda that boosts their image while making their enemies look bad. Isn't this by itself a major act of intervention? They told Trump not to disclose the truth about aliens during his presidency. This is again a major act of intervention which changed the flow of world events. Billy Myers spoke with Semjase from Era Tegeta in 1975, and she informed us that the Tegitans have ruled over humanity in the past in a barbarous way, and that they even control the flow of events on Earth at the time of the meeting. The Zenithians have claimed that the Pleiadians moved Earth twice, and this caused major catastrophes on the Earth's surface. They also told Alex Collier that the Pleiadians treated us like servants in the past and taught us to hate each other. When the same Pleiadians come today as the Galactic Federation, it is no surprise that they don't try to mention what they've done in the past. All of that is heavy intervention. And yet the same Pleiadians cite non-intervention laws to justify why they are delaying efforts to awaken the human population. Elena Danaan has caught her Tegitan contact Thor Han and other Federation ETs abducting and threatening a Russian astronaut and wiping his memories. The Emerther from Tau Ceti, Ahel from Era Tegeta, Omid from Wolf 424 were a part of this meeting. Thor Han has also been caught intervening on Mars by sneaking in weapons to rebel native reptilian factions. According to Frank Strange, another Federation representative named Val Thor used to mind control people at the Pentagon.